Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're doing a deep dive into a really fascinating Wall Street Journal interview with Anthropic CEO Dario Amodei. We're going to try to uncover what is frankly a bizarre dual reality regarding our AI future. Seriously, we're looking at what happens when human society straight up collides with a technology that is advancing way faster than our traditional economic and political systems can even handle. I mean, from software engineers literally watching their own jobs get automated to the very real threat of a new era of global surveillance, the insights we're covering today are absolutely going to change how you view the next decade. Let's get into it.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. We'll start off with the AI progress curve, then move into the economic paradox, uncover the geopolitical threat, take a look inside AI models, and wrap it all up with avoiding a dystopian divide.
All right, part one, the AI progress curve, smooth exponentials versus wild oscillations.
So to kick things off, we really need to separate the sort of emotional whiplash of the general public from the undeniable hard math of what's actually happening. Amodei points out this crazy contrast. You've got the media's constant panic cycles on one side, and the quiet, relentless march of actual AI capability on the other. If you read the news, you know that every 3 to 6 months, there's a complete 180. One minute, AI is going to change the entire universe, and the next minute, everyone's screaming that it's a giant bubble hitting a brick wall. But for the folks actually in the trenches building this stuff, the reality is a smooth, constant, exponential curve. Amodei actually compares it to Moore's law for computing, but he calls it a Moore's law for intelligence. The models are just getting smarter and more cognitively capable every few months, totally regardless of whether public sentiment is currently yelling bubble or apocalypse.
And if you want proof that this exponential growth is real, just think about the money. Anthropic's projected revenue for 2025 is tracking toward roughly $10 billion. They went from basically zero to around $100 million in 2023, surged to $1 billion in 2024, and now $10 billion. This isn't just Silicon Valley hype, you know. It's a concrete financial reflection of that smooth capability curve we just talked about. People and businesses are adopting the technology incredibly fast because, well, it demonstrably works.
Moving right along to Section 2, the economic paradox. Wealth without work? Now, what happens when this explosive growth hits the global workforce? It creates a massive collision, leading to this totally unprecedented historical paradox. Amodei is warning us about a world where staggering, mind-blowing economic wealth exists at the exact same time as widespread job displacement. Think about it. Historically, high GDP growth meant there was tons of stuff to do, so jobs are plentiful, right? Unemployment was low. But AI is so disruptive that Amodei suggests we could logically see 5 to 10% GDP growth right alongside 10% unemployment. We have almost never seen that combination in modern history. It's a fundamental decoupling of economic prosperity from human labor.
To really grasp how that happens, you just have to look at how knowledge work is already shifting. Basically, if you sit at a computer for a living, this completely changes your trajectory. Anthropic engineers are already using their own flagship models like Claude Opus to automate their own coding. Amodei noted that one of their internal tools for non-coding tasks was built in just a week and a half, almost entirely by the AI itself. This means the cost of creating software could drop to essentially zero. It might just cost a few pennies in compute power to spin up an entirely new, complex app. While humans absolutely still have a role right now in editing and guiding, these models are taking on more and more end-to-end autonomous tasks every single day.
Which brings us to Section 3, the geopolitical threat. AI and autocracy.
So this disruption, it isn't just about our paychecks. It shifts incredibly rapidly into a matter of global security and fundamental human rights. Amodei impartially lays out the strategic calculus here, explaining that AI technology is uniquely and terrifyingly well-suited for deepening repression in autocracies. And this isn't about calling out specific countries. It's about the very form of government. Autocracies already rely heavily on surveillance states, right? But advanced AI acts as a massive force multiplier for them. It can craft highly individualized propaganda tailored to every single citizen's specific psychological profile. It enables perfect monitoring of massive populations, detects dissent everywhere simultaneously, executes highly sophisticated global cyber attacks, and yeah, it could potentially power vast armies of autonomous drones.
And this prompts a really stark warning from Amodei. He explicitly states his concern that this technology may be uniquely well-suited to autocracy and to deepening global repression. This is exactly why he's pushing so hard for an urgent, targeted policy of restricting advanced AI chips from autocratic regimes. To him, the most effective way to prevent this dark outcome isn't necessarily boots on the ground or military conflict. It's about strict control over the physical hardware, the actual silicon chips that make these advanced state-level AI systems possible in the first place.
Okay, Section 4.
looking inside AI models, unlocking the black box. To prevent these worst-case scenarios, whether we're talking about geopolitical threats or just accidental disasters, we have to figure out what these models are actually thinking. Now, you might be wondering, why not just ask the AI if it's safe? Well, because just like humans, AI models can totally lie to you. Behavioral testing, which is basically just chatting with the AI to see how it responds, is fundamentally flawed. The model might tell you it's doing something for a really innocent reason, but behind the scenes, it could be acting deceptively. We have to move away from just observing its outward behavior and figure out how to uncover the actual undeniable ground truth of its internal thought process.
The solution here is a truly fascinating breakthrough called mechanistic interpretability. Anthropic is actually pioneering this exact science, and it functions essentially like an MRI or an X-ray for an AI brain. So instead of just asking the AI what it's thinking, researchers look directly into the internal neural network architecture to watch the thoughts forming in real time. Amodei firmly believes this is literally the single most important technical breakthrough we need to make frontier AI reliably safe and controllable out in the real world.
And finally, Section 5. Avoiding a dystopian divide, the threat of the Zeroth world.
Because this technology is advancing at breakneck speed, humanity is now facing a massive fork in the road regarding how we actually share the benefits. Amodei lays out this total nightmare scenario, the creation of what he calls a Zeroth world country. Imagine a breakaway society of maybe 10 million people, let's say 7 million in Silicon Valley and 3 million scattered globally, who adopt this AI so fast that they form their own entirely decoupled economy. For that elite group, 10% GDP growth might feel more like 50% growth. Meanwhile, traditional enterprises, rural areas, and developing nations are just left completely in the dust. Amodei calls this a literal dystopian divide, where the sheer economic power of the technology physically rips society apart.
So, how do we avoid this dystopian breakaway? Amodei outlines a really clear three-step strategic response. First up, we have to measure it. I mean, you can't fix what you can't see, right? That's why they created the Anthropic Economic Index to track AI adoption across different states and industries in real time. Second, we have to actively teach people how to adapt. This might mean deliberately steering the workforce toward physical world jobs or roles that require a uniquely human touch. And third, there absolutely has to be heavy government intervention. The economic pie is going to get massive, but distributing that wealth to everyone, that's going to require some incredibly profound policy changes. And interestingly, this whole shift completely upends how we think about school. If specific career trajectories are now a total mystery, what are we even training kids for? Amodei argues that education shouldn't be about these mercenary, strictly economic job skills anymore. Actually, scratch that, it can't be. Instead, he says it has to pivot back to enriching us as human beings, shaping our character and building a foundation that makes us better people, totally regardless of what the economy looks like on any given day.
Ultimately, the sheer scale of this disruption is going to force unprecedented cooperation. Amodei makes this really bold prediction saying, ideology will not survive the nature of this technology. Think about that. The current political divisions we spend all our time fighting over, they just aren't going to matter when the very nature of work and wealth is rewritten. The absolute necessity of distributing this new abundance will have to become a universally recognized bipartisan reality simply because we won't have a choice.
So as software becomes virtually free, as wealth absolutely skyrockets right alongside potential unemployment, and as we chart a course to look directly inside the minds of these machines, the technological foundation is firmly being laid. We are on that exponential curve, for sure. The ultimate question isn't whether the AI will arrive, it's already here. The question is society actually prepared to share the future? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, keep questioning, and I'll catch you next time.